Good afternoon and welcome back. And without further ado, we are going to commence with our next technical session. And we have got a galaxy of speakers who are having, expert knowledge in their domain, and they are going to, you know, share their point of view on the topic. So it's my privilege to request Abhay Joshi to begin with as a speaker, who is a seasoned Indian attorney with more than 15 years of experience. He works for a company called ELP, Economic Law Practice, a prominent law firm. A seasoned attorney, he advises Indian and multinational corporations on complex legal matters, and he has done LLM from New York University School of Law. His expertise are in corporate, regulatory, and cross-border legal frameworks. So may I request Abhay to please come and start with your session.
A very good afternoon to all of you. I know it's always difficult to bring people together after a nice lunch. And so I'll just request everyone just to stay awake for like 10 minutes then till my session gets over, and then you're all free to take a quick nap. Jokes apart, so my name is Abhay Joshi. I'm a partner with a law firm called Economic Laws Practice. I know I've been given a very specific time. I had prepared a presentation, but what I'm going to do is that not stick to the presentation given the limited amount of time we have. I practice competition law and antitrust law as well as DPDP law, which is data privacy, which is a fairly new law in this country. As a privacy as a concept, and what we are here to talk about today is most touch upon the fundamental issues relating to the new latest the legislation in the space of data privacy, which is called the DPDP Act of 2023, Digital Personal Data Protection Act. Now the privacy as a concept is not new, but privacy, the meaning and relevance of privacy has changed a lot over the years, especially in the given the digital age that we are living in, the technology age that we are living in. And it's sort of getting more difficult for people to sort of understand how their data is being utilized, where their data is accessing. We all as a generation consume a lot of data. We share a lot of data, but we do not know where that data is going and how is that data being utilized. Now, there was a very landmark event in this area, which was when Supreme Court of India recognized the right to privacy as a fundamental right, leading up to the enactment of the DPDP Act of 2023. But even in 2023, the act was not put in force. Now, it was in November 13th of 2025 when the government decided to put a timeline on its enforcement, on putting the law in force, and given a timeline of 18 months from 13th of May 2020, by 27th May, by May 2027, the entire DPDP framework is going to be in full force. So that means the way businesses consume data, the way businesses gather data, the way businesses process data is going to change. And how it is going to change, we'll look into that. First of all, I would like to sort of touch upon a few important concepts in terms of what this law is all about. So now the name itself suggests that the law deals with digital personal data, which means any personal data which is in digital domain, which is digitized. So if any data which is personal data but is in physical form, it's been noted down in a notebook, in a notebook or a piece of paper, the law does not apply. But once that data is digitized, the law kicks in. So as the name suggests, the law is here to protect the privacy of individual, the personal information which is revolving around across systems in digital form. Now, there are two important principles on which this law is modeled. The first principle is data minimization, which means collect only that data which is required. Minimize your data collection. Do not collect data mindlessly. The second principle is purpose limitation, which means whatever data you are collecting, it should be, the processing of that data should be purpose driven. So you are going to utilize the data only for the purposes for which it was collected, for which the consent was given to you. Now, if you understand these two principles, you will be able to get the basic nuances of the DPDP Act. Now, let's look at in which cases does this law apply. If any business is utilizing processing data in this country, the law is going to apply. Or if the processing is taking place outside of India in connection with provision of goods and services in India, the law will still apply. So as long as there is an India nexus, in respect of processing of digital personal data, the law will apply to you. And that is going to change how businesses are going to be collecting and processing your data after 13th May 2027. Now there are let's touch upon some basic fundamental concepts. To understand this law, I think it's important to understand who the important stakeholders in this law are. There are three most important stakeholders. First, the data principals, which are the data subjects, which are no one but the natural persons, individuals like you and me, to whom the data belongs. The second are data fiduciary. Data fiduciaries are those entities, those businesses who determine the mean and purpose for which the data is going to be processed, which means the person who is going to decide how and why your data is going to be processed. The third important stakeholder is the data processor. These data processors are no one other than the people who are going to be processing data on behalf of data fiduciaries. Now, data processors are important, but the most important person, the stakeholder in this context, is the data fiduciary, because the entire compliance burden, the obligations, the liabilities fall upon the data fiduciaries. So if you're a data fiduciary, this law becomes really, really important for you. Now, what is personal? Let's understand what is personal information. Now, personal information, it's very easy to identify any part of information, any kind of information through which you can identify a person. It could be a name of the person, it could be your Aadhaar number, it could be your telephone number, it could be your email address. But let's say if my name is Abhay, there could be 100 other Abhays. But how do you identify? But if you read my name in context of my phone number, then you would be able to identify me. My medical records in itself may not amount to personal data, but when my medical records are read in context of my name, they become personally identifiable information. Second important concept in terms of the data privacy is the processing of data. And it's very important to understand what processing actually means. Processing of personal information means. Processing means it's been very, very widely defined under the law. It starts from the time you collect the information. So collection of information, processing of information, deletion of information, and so on would amount to processing. So that means your rights as data principals and the obligations on data fiduciaries kick in right at the time when the data is being collected from you and not after. And what it means now is that going forward, before your data is processed, there are series of compliances that will have to be taken care of by all data fiduciaries. And I'm going to briefly touch upon and give you a very broad overview of what these compliances look like. And in order to understand these compliances and obligations, it would be easier if you understand them in context of the rights that have been bestowed upon you and me as a data principal. Now, as a data principal, the first and foremost important right is that I have a right to give or deny consent. And that means there is a consequent responsibility on you as a data fiduciary that before you process my information, even before you collect it, you seek a valid consent in accordance with the provisions of the law. Second, once you have collected the consent, it's not the end of the story. You have to manage that consent for as long as my personal data sits in your system. Second, having necessary safeguards and systems in place. What does it mean? It means you have to have reasonable protocols, both legal, from a legal perspective as well as technology perspective. So compliances under this law are not just legal, but they are techno-legal in nature. That means you have to have safeguards, protocols, and you have to integrate them into your system so that the 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 information, personal information that is sitting in your system is safeguarded. The potential of a data breach is minimized. Third, my right is to withdraw the consent that I have given. So you, as a data fiduciary, will have to make sure that you provide me adequate measures to allow me to withdraw my consent with the same ease that that my consent was taken. Third, you have to make sure that once I withdraw the consent, that I no longer wish you to continue to process my data. You will have to make sure that my data which is lying in your system, the processing stops, and the processing shouldn't just stop at your end. The processing should stop also at the end of data processors with whom you might have shared my data for processing purposes. It could be for any purpose that you may have shared my data outside of your system. Then there are restrictions potentially to transferring the data outside of Indian borders. The law provides that the government of India has the power to come up with a list of countries in which the data processing cannot happen. So for example, if you are processing data, if your data centers are sitting in countries where you see that there may potentially be restrictions from the government of India, you need to be prepared. Your processing activities of personal data, and we are talking about only personal data, cannot happen in those countries. So you will have to therefore bear in mind that how, as a business, you need to change your systems, not just from a compliance perspective, but also from the perspective of how you were gathering all of this data, what you were using this data for, personal data for. So all this while, when we were incessantly collecting a large amount of personal data and utilizing it for targeting, for sending targeted advertisements, for monitoring consumer behavior, etc., may change. Unless you have a consent of the data principal to process your personal data for those purposes, you will not be able to do it as a business. So for businesses who are largely dependent on usage of personal data to strategize their marketing activities, to sort of reassess their business models, they will have to bear this in mind. And the way you are going to be sharing data after 13th May 2027 is going to change. Your experience, how you interact with businesses, with retail stores, all of that is going to change. I know I have sort of run out of my time, but just wanted to sort of leave you with a thought that after 2027, May 2027, you will get annoyed, because a lot of people will be now asking you a lot of information. You will be probably given a screen presented in front of you that first read the notice, give your acceptance, only then we will help you provide our goods and services. So with that, I would like to thank all of you for patiently listening, and I'm happy to take any questions after this.
Thank you. Sorry, let it for at the end of the session. And we have an amazing panel with amazing subjects. Yes. So, okay, let's continue. Sorry.
Thank you, Abhay. It was really nice deliberation, and it's a reminder call for each of us that we are at an inflection point, that many things are changing, and we got to get ready for the new world order, digital world, DPDP, AI, and whatnot. Now I would like to request Dr. Sanchiti. Dr. Sandeep Sanchiti, please excuse me for that. Dr. Sandeep Sanchiti, who is former president of Association of Indian University, and he has got an illustrious career. I'll just take a minute to quickly, introduce him. He is former vice chancellor of SRM Institute of Science and Technology and Manipal University, Jaipur. He is expert in wireless communication and mobile computing. champion of innovation and research-driven learning and global collaboration. I request Dr. Sancheti to please enlighten us with his word of wisdom.
A very good afternoon to everyone. Thank you, Professor Bhandari and the entire Galter team for this invitation. Happy to join you for a small session on AI for me for 10 minutes. Over there? Yeah, I can. As has been introduced, I'm a career academic, not necessarily from the law, but certainly from the technology side. And so I'll be sharing my views a little bit on the AI. I've spent 40 years in academic world, but last 2 years I've been promoting more of research. And there, obviously, AI is an obvious component for us to make use of. AI is one which can really catalyze the research very nicely, as we know, help you with literature surveys, help you with problem identification, help you with some of the initial studies, and help you with finding partners and impacts of your research and the funding potential and whatnot. So I think AI possibly is a conjoined twins for me for the research work is what I'd like to say and promote. So I actually represent currently the Elsevier, which is one of the topmost publication house of the world in terms of science, technology, and engineering. And we do a lot of AI-related things there. Typically, top 17 to 18% publications come from Elsevier, and around 28, 29% of good citations also come. And you know these things do count for all your QS, THE, NAC, and whatnot, other NIRF rankings, and so on and so forth. So anyway, this is just a brief introduction in terms of company. Yeah. So research is, of course, flavor of the time. All of us need to do research, and particularly if country has to do very well. So I would say that it's an age of Asian countries, and Asia is doing extremely well. China is doing very, very well. India is probably number 2 in that series. If you see the black line just below the pink line, but we are still 1/4 of what China is doing. So I think we need to promote our research. The same thing I can possibly say about the field weighted citation index, which is a quality benchmark for what research we do. And once again, we are in the cluster or in the middle where our research is just slightly above what you call the average, not necessarily the best. And therefore, there is a concern, and probably AI can be a tool which can help us. These are some of the challenges when it comes to research. I'm just laying the foundation. I'm not going to describe anything. If you wish, you can possibly see there are lots of issues which are there, but AI can help in most of these elements, whether you're finding that I'm doing self-citations, whether my quality or peer reviewing is poor, whether my data is fabricated. I think everywhere I can possibly use the AI. And therefore, AI is something very important for us. And some of the measurements and indices for research, if you so like, can be citations, publications, inclusion in some of the databases, and all that are given here. And once again, a lot of things will be related to AI. And by the way, all these agencies which I named are using AI very, very extensively right now. I think I've possibly convinced you that, and here is a take that a new young researcher getting into research probably is spending 35% of his time, his or her time, analyzing insights into his own area. So that's the kind of effort which is required, and where AI possibly can do it, and what you do in 6 months possibly can be done in 2-3 days or even a week's time. Something like that is the power. So some of the references, sources of these studies are given, that what's happening in terms of research and what AI possibly can do. Anyway, let me explain you a little bit about AI. Since morning we have been talking about AI, and I must tell you that what happened 100 years back to us, that we had motors, hydraulics, machines which supplemented our physical power. 100 years down the line, AI has come, which is supplementing our mental power. So it's a very natural progression which we probably needed. When I was a student in 1977 to 82 doing my engineering, I studied about AI, but at that time AI was much ahead of time. It has resurfaced maybe after 45 years, but AI was also in existence for 400 years back. In the very initial form, it used to be called as a knowledge-based system. Later, it became expert system. You give an input, it will give you output. And right now, you don't have to give much inputs. You have to just desire what you want, and AI will give you something. So knowledge-based system was nothing but a homeopathy manual. If you see a big manual, and that was was a knowledge-based system. So some form of AI was already existing, you can say. So this is what is showing AI for research and innovation is very important. At the bottom, I have given some blue lines which are there. So what makes an AI tool fit for research in the eyes of researchers? This is what it is given. Almost every response is more than 58% here you can see, whether it's transparency, safety, security, responsibility and all that. So these are studies which we carry out and which tells that AI is getting put to use nicely. Next one please. Yeah. This was a study done 2 years back where you can see the positives and negatives. On the left side you have positives, on the right side negatives, and almost everything is balancing that on one side you are saying it's good, on other side, on other hand you are saying it's bad. These are the kind of response which was there probably 2 years back, but it has changed. So I'll show you some statistics there. Next one. Just a minute before that. Okay. Now this is a change which is there. AI adoption in research has surged to 58%. AI for different purposes has again gone up, and various things which you are trying to see, that are you underprepared, are you prepared for that, is AI a creative force, all those things have been studied. Now some of these studies have been done across the world with more than 3,300 people participating in it, and at different levels. So this is how we try to push and promote certain things. Next one please. And these are the current perceptions of AI tools. This report is also fairly recent, and the references have been given at the bottom. So AI can save time, give me more choices, empower me more, various other things which are there, except that it's not trustworthy. Right now you cannot trust, because I can write a story today that I'd gone to moon and I found water there, and tomorrow you search in AI and it will tell Sandeep Sancheti has said so and so. So it will hallucinate, it will give you wrong answers. So trustworthiness obviously is a compromise, and also ethically developed because the biases remain. So those challenges are there. Next one. Next slide please. Yeah, researchers' current and future use of AI, where AI can be used possibly, are all listed out here. For example, the biggest thing is summarization. So for me, I am a technologist, so I must say that the real use of AI is going to be in the research as well as in the legal domain. As a head of the institution, I'll get a lot of legal notices sometimes, or maybe judgments which may be 30, 40 pages, whatever it may be. For me to understand that would be difficult, but with the use of AI, I can get a 1 or 2 page summary. So summarization is sitting at the top in terms of what is there, and in terms of future uses, you can possibly see what is there. So these are the kind of activities a researcher can possibly use with the help of AI. All right, next one. This is top 10 expectations of AI tool in next 2 to 3 years. What should it do? Save my time or increase my quality of work, and so on and so forth. So these are the assessments, and some of the pointers which I have given to you here are specifying which country or which region is saying that. So you'll possibly find that when it comes to Asian regions, saving my time is the most important. But rest of the time you'll find the Middle East has become suddenly very popular and savvy to what you call AI. Middle East is rising very, very strongly in terms of what you call the use of AI. So just give me a minute, that's fine. Okay, so next one please. I'll take the last slide and then I'll come to conclusion. Keep it there, last slide. Yeah, so this is using a general purpose AI. I'm not criticizing the general purpose AI, whether it's Chat GPT or Copilot or anything, but for research they are not applicable because they don't have the research databases to give you qualified answer. They can give you the hallucinations. Next one. And this is again says that something like through AI it has been found that around 20% of citations were fabricated. We have a special judgment which came 3 months back, which said that even the quoted cases were also fabricated by AI. Citations were obviously wrong. So there are certain challenges which are there. Next slide, please. Okay, leave it. Next. Next. So here it is basically, my company also works, many other companies also work. So they have what you call the built-in things for the researchers with the huge database. For example, our Scopus has more than 105 million qualified peer-reviewed data things which are there. So that those things help you with the research element. Next. And most of these things are becoming publisher neutral, whether Elsevier does or Kluwer does or Taylor and Francis does, they take each other's support and then they quote other things. This I'll probably omit. This is a very recent, just last week's release of the US presidents, the top brass of the US, that what do they think in terms of what is the use or growth of AI and so on and so forth. So how the things have changed from 24 to 25 to 26, you can possibly see yellow and orange being more optimistic and the others being less optimistic. So these are some of the recent results of the last week only. Next one. Next. So these are some of the points, how things are changing next. And with that, probably this is the last slide. So presidents on how their institutions is using by the survey year, that how things are changing. An interesting read in this, conclusion in this is, everyone thinks that my institution is doing very well, but others are not doing. So when you see the overall picture of what is happening in the AI space, you don't get a very rosy thing in terms of users. But when you see that my individual institution, I certainly give a very good rosy picture. No, I'm fine, I'm doing very well. So these kind of inferences which you can draw from the AI, and since education is a sector which can make a huge impact on the use and preparedness and the applications of AI, I think if we can do good here, we can do wonders. And in that context, I must say that India is doing well. AI India Impact Summit was a huge success. I attended it for two days, and I think Professor Bhandari also helped do a small event for that as a preparatory event.
Professor.
Thank you so much. With that, I close. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. It's another very interesting point that you have opportunity to explore after. And the next speaker.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Sancheti. I think it was really very thrilling. A famous, famous idiom that unless the lion learns how to write, every story will glorify the hunter. Today we learn that if you don't know how to use AI properly and keep it as a good servant than a bad master, so we must learn that good AI. With this, I take privilege in introducing Group Captain P. Anand Naidu as a next speaker for us. He is former Indian Air Force officer. Retired Group Captain, has more than 30 plus years of experience in service. Former Additional Director General of Prasar Bharati, expertise in cyber security, aviation operations and governance. May we please request Group Captain to kindly enlighten us.
While the slides are coming on, very good afternoon to everyone. I know it is very difficult to be awake after the lunch, and that too nice lunch. All of us are very highly educated, very highly informed people. I make an assumption that we are not prone to be attacked by the cyber criminals. Am I right in my assumption? Yes? Yes? None of us here is had any cyber crime incident against him or her? Victim of digital arrest. So, I will be speaking for the next 7 minutes, if they permit me, on what, as a community building effort, we have done as a unique initiative in the world, how we are, take it into the presentation mode, what we have done in India and how we are spreading it in a scalable manner to other countries and training people across. Now, this is a research paper that me and Priyanka has created and submitted. Okay, the left side are the issues. I am not talking about the statistics in terms of crimes. 7,500 crimes are reported every day in India to the NCRB. 7,500 reported, and we know at least 4 times that number is not reported. And out of that 4 times, twice the number is not reported intentionally. They say, no, please don't report, I don't want to report. And the reasons are many. Rapid digital adoption. We have gone Digital India, and why not? We are leaders. We are providing capacity building and knowledge transfer to various countries. We must adopt. But are we adopting the security and safety aspects of it is the thing. What are the main reasons? Greed, speed and complacency. Greed to make money quickly. Speed, trigger happy, want to press this send button immediately. That's the problem. Complacency. I am not going to be hit. Like in terms of corona, we always thought that our neighbor only will have corona. The wall will stop the corona from coming to my house. And same thing happens, still I am hit. by the cybercrime also. And trust you me, all of us have been breached. We have lost our access credentials in some or the other platform. Only thing is, we don't know and we are happy. Most of us don't know and we are happy. That is the complacency that we have. Women, children and elderly are the most prone targets, and the gaming platforms are becoming the biggest preying grounds for all kinds of crimes, whether it is narcotics, sexual offenses, money, of course, yes, grooming for the children, and stalking for the elderly, especially single elderly people. Many of them are not only losing money, they are actually having a lot of troubles. Rural communities, very strangely, there are some communities, like in case of Telangana, the rural people are not losing money to cyber financial frauds. The frauds are lesser in terms of rural areas in Telangana because they have done some 6-7 years of complete awareness programs down to the ground, to the block levels and village levels. Now these are the communities that are susceptible as of now, but like we all agree that even highly educated people are also being hit. Now what we have done as the initiative in ISAC Cop Connect is, we have created a community of cyber self-defenders. Out of those self-defenders, some of them become cybercrime intervention officers, and out of those, some of them become the first responders. It's like giving first aid to the person who is falling sick suddenly. We pump him up, call up the ambulance take him to the hospital doctors are treating him. Similarly, when a cybercrime victim is, we know that someone is fallen victim and he is asking us for help, we provide those first few steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, enable him to be able to fight his own case, reach out to the police, and that's what we do, bridging the gap between the victim and the law enforcement agencies. In the last financial year, what we have done is 1,446, these are reported. Double this, they have requested not to report. Especially highly educated people, they say, no, it's okay. We don't want to report. 152 crore worth fraud we have helped in fighting it out, not helped in committing the crime. 25,700 direct beneficiaries from our actions. 2 lakh people have been benefited indirectly, and out of these 2 lakhs, about 70,000 are elderly people. Through an initiative where we have collaborated with Krish Gopalakrishnan of Infosys fame, his organization, and we have collaborated and we reached out to a large number of people. 227 awareness sessions have been conducted. These are organized awareness sessions where the attendees are more than 50. Otherwise, we conduct awareness sessions even for 5-10 people also. If they are ready to come sit with us for half an hour, 45 minutes, we conduct free awareness sessions. 1,100 plus first responders have been trained in the last 1 year. Now, the first responder community is a multidisciplinary community where we have first responders, the cyber psychologists, cyber lawyers, and the forensic experts. Now, cyber lawyers and cyber psychologists and forensic experts come at second stage. First stage is first response. Immediate first aid is what is the objective, and that's what all of us can be. Any one of us can be. Every one of us can be. That's where the maximum gain is there, and especially we have children. We don't understand their language unless we learn what they are speaking, and that's what we do in this AICT approved training certification known as Cybercrime Intervention Officer. Now, this skilling to safety, intervention across the ecosystem, when I said AICT approved Cybercrime Intervention Officer program, we also create a physical space known as Cyber Wellness Center. In some of the cities we have created where there are some crimes which cannot be reported on phone. 1930 and cybercrime.gov.in, we are generally not willing to go and report, especially in cyberbullying, the sexual offenses online, or crimes which have happened long time back, we don't want to report. Now those are the cases where one can walk into Cyber Wellness Center, discuss, gain confidence of the counselor. Okay, thank you. And then report. That's what we do there. Okay. Sustainable cyber resilience requires holistic model. That's exactly what we recommend. Government of India and most of the governments are trying their best. Unfortunately, we are not, from our side as a community, not able to do as much as required to protect ourselves. Let us be the first responders. Let us all be, if not first responders, at least self-defenders. Let us create a kind of an armor around us so that we are not hit. Civil society and academia, of course, the students, we have trained about 600 NCC cadets, and they are from across the country. Similarly, every institution can train their students as self-defenders as well as the first responders. Legal, very essential, because I think morning sessions, most of the discourse was on how legal professionals need to learn the new technologies. I am talking about the bad side of the new technology, how to protect ourselves and to be able to exploit the challenges to be converted to opportunities, especially for the lawyers. Now, these are the things that we...
request your conclusion,
Yes, that is the conclusion I had. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the nice deliberation. I think conclusion is prevention is better than cure, and that holds good even today. Now I would request Shri A.R. Ghanshyam sir, former Indian diplomat. Sir is retired officer of Indian Foreign Services, 1982 batch. Served as High Commissioner to Nigeria and Ambassador to Angola diplomatic assignments across Syria, Nepal, Belgium, etc. Played a key role in IC 814 hijacking negotiations, author and speaker on foreign policy and South Asian affairs. We welcome you, sir, and kindly enlighten us with your words of wisdom.
There is enough light in the hall. I don't need to enlighten everybody. Good afternoon, everyone. Distinguished members sitting on the dais, ladies and gentlemen. I am not a lawyer. I am not a technologist. I don't know, therefore, why I am here. But there's one person who knows why I am here, and that is Dr. Bhandari. So it's because of him I am here. What I want to tell you in the next few minutes has got three components. First is the evolution of AI. If you want to understand where AI is going, you should know where it has come from. That's the first point. Second, what is the world doing about it? Is it using it? Is it worried about its negative impact? Etc., etc. That's the second component. Third component, my own hopes, my own fears. I have spent my life, I've crossed the crossroads. For the next generation of young people, what should they think about? That is the last component. First component of the evolution of AI. In 1950, a British mathematician by the name Alan Turing submitted a paper. The seminal question that he asked in that paper is, can machines imitate intelligent human behavior? Can a machine imitate intelligent human behavior? That was the question he asked for the first time in 1950, which is 76 years ago. 6 years after he asked this question, a Professor John McCarthy, who is considered the father of artificial intelligence, he had deliberation among all the scientists and technologists that he could put together in a college called Dartmouth in New Hampshire in the United States. Several days people discussed about it. That is, in that week of discussion about machines replacing humans, the caption artificial intelligence was coined. It was coined in 1956, exactly 70 years ago. After that, this artificial intelligence moved into laboratories and disappeared. For 30, 40 years, nothing happened. It's only towards the end of the last century, things started changing. Come to 1997, the International Business Machines, which is an IBM corporation of the United States, they came out with an artificial intelligence bot, you can call it. It's a computer called Deep Blue. And it was set against Garry Kasparov, who is the reigning chess champion of the world at that time, the grandmaster of chess. The machine bet him up to pulp. That means it can do better than a global champion. 2011, that was 1997, Kasparov's defeat. 2011, there was a new machine which the IBM computers, IBM business machines produced called Watson. Not my dear Watson of Sherlock Holmes, Watson. Watson was pitted against two thoroughbred winners of a quiz show in American television called Jeopardy. And these two people had been constantly winning and they had never lost in that game. The machine, Watson, was put to play against them and it defeated both of them. That happened in 2011. Then come another 11 years later, 2022. That is the year in which the artificial generative intelligence came in. Artificial generative intelligence, what is it? It has a set of data which has been given to it. And this artificial generative intelligence will look at the data and you can convert that data into sound, into movies, into speeches. You can create original content from the existing old content. You know, sometime in the past, last 2-3 years ago, this happened in 2022. Two years ago, I heard a number of speeches given by eminent Americans like Denzel Washington, Oprah Winfrey, Bill Gates, and Barack Obama, talking about the economy of India, the culture of India, the history of India. Our own professors don't know that much of knowledge. These were created by generative intelligence. Suppose I had thought that I will not be able to give this speech because I don't have answers to the questions that you're going to ask. So I'll ask AI, make me a speech to speak for Galter. He'll make a speech for me. I'll read it and then say, okay, this is my photograph. Make it into English language and convert it in for 10 minutes. The machine will do it. And then I'll say, okay, I want this to be understood in the villages of UP, who they don't understand English. He will translate it into Hindi and produce it. That is artificial generative intelligence. This was 2022, not very far away. 2025, the agentic general intelligence, agentic artificial intelligence arrived. What is this agentic artificial intelligence? I'll give you an example. Suppose I am telling a computer, one of the artificial generative intelligence computer, look, I have to send an email to Mr. So-and-so, telling him that I am agreeable for his suggestion on the condition of 1, 2, 3. The machine gets the question and then it says, sir, you have a meeting at 3 o'clock. If you wait till I draft this message and send it, it may be late. You please carry on with your 3 o'clock appointment. I'll send the email and send it to you on your phone. This is agentic intelligence, artificial intelligence. We have reached here. Now, how does artificial intelligence work? It basically works on 3 components: data, algorithm, and outcome. Data, the larger the amount of data that the computer has, higher the quality of the data. It is, a lot of it can be junk in the data. Higher the quality of the data, smarter the algorithms, better and faster will be the outcomes. You can get the best results if you have high quality data and good quality algorithms. Now, in the developmental stage of AI, where is it going? I'm coming to this point. Where is it going now? It has come to artificial agentic intelligence. Where will it go from here? There are 3 steps of AI. The first is the narrow AI. Everybody knows. We are using it. Today we are using it extensively. You have Siri and Alexa, you have Netflix, you have YouTube, blah, blah, blah. So many of them which are all using artificial intelligence, which is the first narrow, weak AI. The next will be strong AI. That is the next stage. The strong AI is one which will match the capacity of a human. Believe it or not, it has not yet come to us. It's still in the process of making. Deep Blue is working on it from Google. OpenAI, Sam Altman is working. I'm sure the Chinese are also working, and they will never tell you. That is the strong AI. Then comes the super intelligent AI. Now, the super intelligent AI is something which can surpass the collective human intellect and intelligence of the entire world. You have gone beyond redemption. Now, these things, when is it going to happen? When will it be in super intelligence? When will it come? First person to say it will come 2025, 2026 or 2027. It was Elon Musk, Tesla's Elon Musk. He said 2026, 2027, you will have AGI, general intelligence. Another 2 to 30 years, you will get super intelligence. The next person, Anthropic, the chief executive officer of Anthropic, he said, no, it's 2028. That's better than 2026, 27. Then comes, after Anthropic, it was OpenAI's Sam Altman. He says, no, 2028 is also a little too early, 2029. They come to 2029, ASI will come. But the fact of the matter is, when a survey is conducted by experts on artificial intelligence experts, thousands of them, they have come to the conclusion that AGI, artificial general intelligence, will not come, which will match single human domain intelligence level, will not come before 2040 or 2045. And 2 years to 30 years from then, you will get artificial super intelligence. So that means it will be 2075 or 2070. So that is going to be difficult. What is the world doing now? Now that the bell has come, so I have to conclude. I'll try and make it. I hope it is 5 minutes before the deadline. The second point that I wanted to make was, it's shorter. What is the world doing about it? First, the world is getting into international conferences. See, the first one was done by UK in 2023. They said safety is a must. AI, all the work should make sure that human beings are safe. Second one happened in Seoul, South Korea. They are saying there must be international standards for artificial intelligence. Then the third one was in Paris. India and France co-hosted a conference on AI. They said it should work for the good of the planet and good of the human being. It should be sustainable. They came out with this. And the last one was in India, which was just now happened, 2025. And in that summit, they said one nation, one license, and one payment. Anything that you borrow, you will have to pay for it. This is what the international efforts are. Mind you, 72 countries in the world, including 27 of the European Union, have been working on setting a framework, legal and ethical framework for it. But all these are in idea stage. They have become policies, they have become guidelines, but none of them is a legally binding network. That is a big problem. You'll have to help. And the last thing that I wanted to say is, what are my hopes and fears? The world is working at it. One is, it is going to come in 2040, so we've got 15 more years to go. Let's take it easy. That is one possibility. People will take it easy. And finally, we have to start working together. But my belief is, my hope is a story, which is also very short. Don't worry, without my advantage of a bell, I'll tell you the story. Then you have 6,000 scientists from the United States of America, from UK and Canada, supported by some refugee scientists from Germany, from Poland, from Hungary, from Czechoslovakia, and from Austria, few more countries. They started working on a project called the Manhattan Project, 1942 to 1945. 4 years they worked on it. And they created an atom bomb. And this atom bomb was created at a cost of 2 billion US dollars, which today's cost will be 33 billion US dollars. They created this bomb and they attacked two small cities, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. 6th of August 1945, 9th of August 1945. At that time, the population of these two cities was 625,000. 40% of the population died instantly. And another 20% died over a
Sir,
period of
please,
time.
I'm so sorry.
So finally, it's coming to, and the conclusion is that if human beings can prevent misuse and abuse and irresponsible use of nuclear power, they will also be able to manage the artificial intelligence. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, sir. Here. Sir, here. No. Please. I'll be here.
Thank you, A.R. Ghanshyam sir. I think you really enlightened us. And long back, Atalji mentioned that he mentioned about fire. That fire is, very dangerous. It can be used for destruction. It can be used for, creation. We use it cautiously. We can prepare food and a whole lot of things. I think AI is pretty much in that line. We have to have guardrails. We have to have safety net with ethical, etc., to look the beautiful future. With this, I request next speaker, Professor Dr. Firdaus Wani. He is renowned academician in law and legal education, senior faculty and academic leader at National Law University, specialization in constitutional law, criminal law and human rights. May I please request sir to deliberate.
Good afternoon to everybody. Since yesterday, midday, today, and God willing, tomorrow, we are and will be talking about AI, a lot of AI. So we are eating, speaking, sleeping, walking with AI. So most of the people are wary of it, that I will use it sparingly. One thing is very important, that we all are afraid of AI and other deep tech technologies, because most of us are not knowing what these technologies are. We are only apprehensive about the effects of these technologies. And rightly so, because we have seen that what atom bomb and how it created havoc with us, because at that particular time, very few were knowing about the effects of atomic energy. So I will not talk so much about AI. I will start when we are talking about that we must be having guidelines. We should be having governance. We should be having rules and regulations. Who will do it? And why we will do it? Because we are getting those who are in the business of AI creation and deep technologies, they are being paid phenomenally. So why they will do it? Because corporations or the technical giants, they are earning like anything. So why they will do it? And another aspect, that because we are having Professor Sancheti ji here, that our problem with AI is that it is tremendous. It is having tremendous power of pursuing the goals which are given to it. Like our Professor Bhandari ji, give him a goal, he will pursue it till perfection. When this is the state of affairs, so we have to think that why we will be doing it against our material life. Because we have been given to understand that there is only one happiness, that is the happiness with money, happiness with luxury. We all are pursuing the same thing. It may or may not be the same, but that is the reason. We have to fall back on something other than the money and change the mindset of the society. Anybody and everybody that he is the citizen, we will, because as rightly said by Professor Naidu, that everybody will be infected with a disease, not me. We are having the same problem, that AI will deceive everybody except me. But it will definitely deceive us if we will not collectively come together, all stakeholders, and hold it somewhere. That we want AI because we all together will, even if we will oppose it, it will stay. Because our opposition will yield nothing. So we have to decide that we have to live with this Pakistani neighbor like we are with them, and change the mindset of ourselves and theirs, and live together. For that, only one panacea is that we have to change our mindset first. Individual, I have to change it. That is not only money. What money will give me when there will be a problem with ethics? Because it is said, somebody has told me that this AI is having tremendous problem with its goals. Sometimes they are decent, good goals given to it through their creators, but they are pursuing and they are creating in such a way to achieve those goals that something is happening which may not be good for us, so that the intentions were good, but the end result is against the person who has created it. So if this is the case, our only wish should be that we should be first involved with this. We all should know what it is, because we, even if like this mobile phone, most of us who are my age, they are not knowing what it is. But at the same time, we are using it because without that, we feel that we are belittled, we are small people than our children, because they are using it like anything. Now we have to take extra efforts to know what is the technology, that we can't be the scientists, but still, and change, think it over, change the mindset that luxury is that we will be, when we will be able to save the earth from the menaces even coming from the very good technologies in due course of time. That's my viewpoint, because I have not discussed what is this, because most of the people who are very much in this field, they have talked about this. The rules, the regulations will come from the man only. If he is having the bad intention, if he is having the bad priorities, if he is not good with his neighbor, the result will be what is today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Doctor. It's incredible. Before your 10 minutes, so amazing. So I will invite the co-chairs for the final remarks.
Yes.
And also for the questions, because with different questions that we talked about, different subjects, perspectives from diplomacy to ethics, talking about cybersecurity, ending with an impossible mission, we have a lot of questions. So,
Yeah, just since Dr. Vani has given us a scope of 1-2 minutes, just I will use that buffer. I think the learning lesson, he hit right on the head of the nail, saying that we need guardrails, because we can't stop AI, we need guardrails. And companies which are known and renowned, they are investing billions and billions of dollars, so we are expecting a lot of things going automated. What we need is that guardrail in the sense that we are 1.4 billion in India and 8 billion overall. We need to be in business and we need to be the on driver's seat. We have to have those guardrails, ethical checks and balances to make sure that we coexist. Thank you. I think I hand over to co-chair and chair for their remarks, Dr. Sindhu Bhaskar and Yoshina ma'am. Your
I'll speak the last, so you go ahead.
Joshina ma'am.
yes, it's Professor George.
Professor George Mold, please excuse me. Please. Please, brief remarks, sir. Brief remarks, sir. We have to.
I will short then. One drop. Okay. We've heard here a lot of talks about what is regulation and how we will regulate AI. The most impressive thing to me was that even if we now know what we are talking about, we really need to know more. because for many people here, I think the topic is very confusing. And let me break down all the talks about cybersecurity, about artificial intelligence, what it is and what it is not, to some points. First, when we started to build the internet, we lose the right of we lose the right of intellectual property. If you think we have intellectual property, I will advise you to visit some domains where we get every software ever created, every knowledge ever created, and even we have an AI now which is decentralized. I can download it on my computer, and we can't control how people use that for knowledge. The next thing is, when we come to talk about ethic and morale, we had it here, you can't code ethic in something which is neutral. Ethic follows morale. You can have the best ethic in the world, but you see how Iran is bombed by America, and you see how Israel has bombed Palestine back to the Stone Age. What we see is that our ethic is only that when humans have morality. And you can't code it in AI. We can support us to be better persons with the AI and in morality. Another thing I would address, and this is a question to you. If we come to the point of regulation, is it better the human in front of a machine is regulated by an AI which is neutral and said, hey, you are going too far with what you are asking and doing, we want to know who you are? Or do you think it is better to run after the machine when he has prompted and waiting for the output? I think it's all about design. And cybersecurity, as he mentioned, is always a design. And designs are made by humans. To believe that a machine like an LLM will become conscious, that's something ignoring Nobel Prize. That's something to throw away all achievements in mathematics. If you can convince me today that we reinvent mathematics, I will believe we will become a super intelligence. And I will tell you something about that. I heard a lot of graduation to Dr. Bandari today. Have you ever heard your machine talking to you in graduation what you have done for the machine? And if it could do, is it consciousness or is it something someone was telling him to tell? At least if you sit in front of the machine and you do hands off, you are the guy who is inventing what happens after. Always. Not the machine wakes in the morning and says to you, hey, I have an idea. What if you start in a world war? That's not happening. That's the people who try and always use the machine. As I always said since the 1984 when I got my first home computer, the problem is not the machine, it's in front of the machine. And it is an output and an input. And we have to control the input, not to say you do and you don't have to do. But if you go too far, we watch you through your machine you're using. This is a totally different impact. And at last, before we come to the end, many people know me from the cryptocurrency and Bitcoin space. Yeah, so I'm laughing here. Then this is my biggest concern about our future. If you have ever the possibility to stop CBDC, you should do. Why I'm telling you to stop CBDCs? Central and digital coins are smart contracts, programmable money. If we have to decide who can access to money and not to access money, that will end in a war. Because crime is always to 98% forced by money and who owns the money. And if someone is forcing to control the money by a way where you can spend and you cannot spend, who is the victim and who is the guy who is wrong? That question will lead into war. We have seen it after the Second World War. We have seen it always when it comes to money. We had every time problems with the money. Money is a good thing, but money is also the reason why we have war and destroying our world. So who has the right, the ethical right? And this is the next question. We are in India here, and I like India. We have 1.5 billion people. We have more than 100,000 ethical tribes. We have, I think, 1 million moralities instance here. And now, come to the big question. Can AI answer who has the right to regulate the philosophy? And if you have an answer, we are a step far away from that. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for inviting me.
couple of remarks, and after Professor Sindhu will finish the panel to open for questions. It's very hard because we started to talk. I prepared a couple of remarks because every single speech was completely different with deep questions. But we started with AI privacy. Am I able to share my information? My mindset is from GDPR in Europe, but now I'm living in the United States, and it's a mess. How can I trust that I'm sharing in the good way my data? So after this, we started to talk about how deep is research using AI. Everybody here connected with academia news, how deep is to prepare an article before and after. It was fantastic because one of the biggest publications nowadays telling us amazing numbers, how can I improve? But about citations, we can say that giants in consultancy lost a couple of clients. And why? Because they used wrong citations in the final report, asking millions of dollars. I cannot tell the name, but it's true. AI, there's a lot of errors, and you need to be sure about this, but it's improving drastically the way how can we research. Even though it's an impossible mission, I believe that our rights in cybersecurity, we need to tell government when we have an insult, when you have a harassment, when you have problems connected with cybersecurity. So we need to know that our generation is starting to create another ecosystem, but ethics at the end for Mr. Sir Ambassador created a lot of different perspective from humanity. So the remarks is, we are just starting a new ecosystem with a reality that redefines the way that we are working. But before this, the way that we create in the new society. And everyone here created a new piece of this puzzle. How can we deal, and how can we become better profiles for the next enterprises and the next projects that I will be able. So I will pass the final remarks for Professor Sindhu, and we will open for questions because I can see that we have a couple of questions from cybersecurity to AI and for humanity.
This one is working.
Yes, I believe so. I believe so.
Thank you very much. So we have been hearing a lot about AI, cybersecurity, and so many other things. But everything boils down to self, what I am supposed to do and what I am doing and what I am creating. That is the most important thing. If I am not a good person, my data is not going to be good. If I am a bad person, I will always create negativity. So now with all those serious discussions, let me bring you to the self. And here are some lines which I will read out to you from one of my poems, A Rag of Mine. So rag is retrieval, so you retrieve, you augment, and then you generate. So that is what is generative AI. So how your rag creates the situation. So my rag is perfect for humanity, a cathedral of recollection and care. I retrieve not data, but divinity, and find you everywhere. My rag is perfect for humanity. It remembers what data forgets. Human soul is the ultimate retriever. Every heartbeat leads a new generation step. The agentic rag of my being retrieves not data, but devotion. It augments memory with emotion and turns cognition into motion. Why agentic rag for your thought and touch? Why retrieval for my blood's soft code? Because love is not pre-trained, it must be continually reloaded. I am a generative soul, retrieving from the void to create anew. In the great cloud of humanity's memory, my every prompt begins with you. I am both a model and a man, learning to generate truth from feeling. When my tokens dissolve into silence, it is love that does the rehealing. Thank you very much for all that hearing and listening to us and getting all the ideas about AI and how we generate ideas, thoughts, processes through our own thought process. And we are trying to create divides of regulations, country-wise, DPDP, data protection of Europe, the US, but where is the connectivity, how we can connect as human beings? That is the most important thing, and that is going to surpass all the borders created by AI, and we will have borderless humanity. Thank you.
So we have 5 minutes only for questions. So we can, you can have 5 minutes. So at the beginning we have when Mr. Abai finished talking about data privacy, AI, how can we share our data? We had a question. So, yes, Professor Bandari, please, it's an honor.
Thank you for your nice presentation. I have written a book on Data Protection Act, perhaps the only book so far in India. I'll present you later. It is with me. My question is, penalty is 250 crore up to 250 crore if there is a massive breach of data. Schedule 1. The penalty is recoverable by the government and it will go to the consolidated fund of India. The victim whose data have been breached will not get anything, not a single penny. As you know, in GDPR, the victim, that is the data principal, or I call it in a common man language, owner of the data, he gets compensation. In India, we sent a lot of recommendations to the government, Niti Aayog, in response to their calls, that please have some provision for payment to the victims. Otherwise, what is the incentive to the victim? I am fighting, I am making complaint, and government has imposed, the protection board has imposed the penalty, and penalty is recovered by the government. It goes to the government of India. What did I get at the end? What do you think on this?
Sir, I think that's a very valid question, and there is it's an issue which has come up in a lot of our discussions. So the underlying issue to sort of we need to delve into to kind of probably get to an answer. So first of all, yes, it is unfortunate the law doesn't provide so far for in terms of giving any having provisions that will allow the individuals whose data have been breached to claim some compensation from the companies. But the question is who owns the data? I mean, I think we still haven't settled on the point whether the data which may be my personal data, do I really own it? So the question of ownership is itself not something which is yet settled from a legal point of view. So unless I can claim that data belongs to me as an owner in legal terms, there is no legal basis for me to claim compensation. Now the law is designed to protect my privacy. The law is designed to make sure that the data that I'm sharing is utilized in a way that I consented for. However, the law yet has not evolved to the point where it provides me with the right of ownership on the data that I claim to be mine. So yes, it's a valid question that there should be a provision which should allow me to claim compensation. How that is going to come up, I'm not sure. The law is still very new, is still developing. There are still challenges which are pending before Supreme Court and High Court of Delhi. So we will see in the coming future how the law evolves, what kind of legal issues are debated before the courts, and then probably we will have some clarity. There was, your second point was, just remind me, so there was one more point which you had. Yes. Yeah, I mean, there are certain parallels which we have with GDPR, but then, you know, again, we have adopted a slightly different approach so far as India is concerned. I also practice competition law, and competition law is a law which again talks about rights in realm of of markets at large. I mean, how the markets operate. But when a penalty is imposed, the penalty goes into the same consolidated fund of India, and the people who are actually at the receiving end, they don't get any compensation. Yes, there is a right of compensation now allowed, but there has been no such case in India so far where a compensation has been successfully claimed even in those kind of cases. So yes, that concept of compensation generally has not evolved so far as India is concerned.
So, with the permission, I think Nishit ji wants
We have the provision under IT Act, that is section 43A, compensation for failure to protect data. I handled the first case of Rajasthan. I filed a case before the Principal Secretary IT of Rajasthan against telecom company in a SIM swap case. My complainant SIM was swapped and 68 lakhs 50,000 were siphoned off. I recovered 44 lakh rupees. I opposed the bail application of 4 accused persons. They surrendered and they refunded the amount, and remaining 24.50 lakhs, I filed a case before the Principal Secretary IT during the pandemic, May 2020, you all are aware that May 2020 was the critical point. I filed a case before the Principal Secretary IT Rajasthan under section 43A, data protection, compensation for failure to protect data. We won the case and 27 lakhs 33,000 were awarded. The telecom company filed an appeal before TDSAT, that is Telecom Dispute Settlement Appellate Tribunal. And after 4 years, we won the case. They approached the High Court Jaipur bench, and during stay application, we requested the court, okay, give them stay, but release the amount. So now, remaining 24 lakhs 50,000 that was awarded, that is 27 lakh rupees, the victim is going to receive this amount. So complete amount is now with the victim under IT Act. That's the beauty of our old IT Act. And now, as far as 43A is concerned, it is still live. It is still live till 13th May 2027, because under IT Act it has been omitted, section 44 of DPDP Act. But it is live, it is not dead. We can still file a case under section 43A before Principal Secretary IT of the states, because lawyers are not aware about this section. So we can still file under section 43A of IT Act till 13th May 2027. But sir, is the valid question, because under DPDP Act, there is no provision to get the money. Now who is going to file a case? Suppose my data is breached. So what's the provision under DPDP? First I have to report the, first I have to prove that my data is breached by this company. This is a Herculean task. You cannot prove that this company has breached my data first. Suppose I am able to prove that this company has breached my data. So I have to first knock the door of that company. Definitely company will not reply. I have to file a case before the Data Protection Board of India. They will refer for mediation first. Okay, just go ahead with mediation. Then after they will hear my case. I am the victim. I have engaged a lawyer who is competent to handle this DPDP Act. He is well versed about DPDP Act. So I have already suffered. I engaged a lawyer of 2 lakhs per month per hearing case. Right, sir? First, lacuna. Second, definitely one tier goes. Data Protection Board of India, agri party will definitely approach where? TDSAT. Again, I have to engage a good lawyer who is regularly appearing before TDSAT. So victim is double victimized about these cases. Then TDSAT, then Supreme Court. Again, you have to engage a AOR, a good lawyer, a senior lawyer. Sir, how many times you...
So let me just
Right, just see the
let,
law.
Yeah, let me just clarify. So first of all, I mean the provisions under the IT Act obviously are different from the provisions that we have in the
Money doesn't come. Money
DPDP.
doesn't come.
No,
That's why we should, now the answer is this. So after DPDP, 43A is removed, but still you have the 43. Section 43 under IT Act. So we can, because we have now new notification. Earlier, Jan Vishwas Amendment Act. Earlier, the chapter 9 was dealt with by the IT secretary. Now the act is completed. Now they have removed the chapter, they have inserted the act. So we can cover these type of cases under IT Act adjudication officers.
No, but then breach. Let me just clarify one point, short point, that in case if there is a breach, the law requires the data fiduciary to immediately report both the data principal as well as the Data Protection Board of India.
That's a dilemma.
So
You are having a company. You are owning a company. Yes. No, just clarification. You are owning a company. That's the dilemma. Suppose I reported that my data is breached. The company is facing, the company will face two issues. Whether to report to certain within 6 hours, whether to report to DPT within 72 hours. So now the Pandora box is opened. Multiple litigation will be filed under IT Act and multiple litigation will be filed before DPDP.
So there are already litigations on, and litigations are going to continue. But then the responsibility still lies with the data fiduciary to immediately. So you don't have to go figure out if your data has been breached. It is the responsibility of the data fiduciary at whose end the breach has actually occurred to immediately respond and intimate you.
Sorry, as a chair, sorry, it's so interesting to discuss dilemmas, but we never have an answer. So thank you very much for
I
your
think
participation.
there is one more question.
Thank you.
There is no question from my side. I just wanted to add 2 points. This is a subject which is being hotly debated in the world today. Data concept. The first case that was resolved recently was with Anthropic. Anthropic, they read about 7 million pirated copies of books and used that data to train their model, and some of the authors filed a suit against it. And the compensation was so huge that Anthropic decided to settle it out of court. How much was the amount? $1.5 billion.
Exactly.
That is the amount. Second case was Warner Music. They used some data which belonged to a company called Suno and Udio. This company filed a suit against Warner Brothers. That would have run into several $1 billion. So they said, best thing is to settle out of court. So now what has happened is Warner Brothers has arrangement of licensing their music with this company. So my feeling is some of these big issues need to be settled out of court, because no one will actually find any scientifically legal solution for these things, because the value of the data is subjective. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we need to close the panel. We don't have answers, but we have a lot of questions. Thank you for your amazing contribution. Thank you very much. Thank you.